Hey, Mark Petty. I'm Uncle Richard's favorite nephew. We're looking forward to the whole Petty family getting together and celebrating 75 years this year. Y'all stay tuned. We're getting the band back together.
Hello, my name is Billy Hodges. I worked here at Petty Enterprises in 1983 and at Curve Motorsports in 1984 and 85. Loved my time here. We called this Petty U because this is where you came, instead of going to college, you came here to learn about racing, and this is where you got taught by Dale Inman and Wade Thornburg and Larry Pollard and Robin Pemberton how to do things the right way.
Scott Karen worked here from 98 to 04 for Adam, and fondest memories probably Adam's ARCA win at Charlotte. I was just really young, never been to probably the first big race I've been to, and for him to win was pretty overwhelming.
My name's Andy Krupp. I worked here from 2001 to 2005, and it's a really great place to work.
Hey, I'm Dale Inman. I worked here forever. My favorite memory is leaving here, driving the race car to Riverside, California for Lee, racing it, drove it home, broke down on the way home, but we got back.
My name is Darrell Skeens. I worked here in 71 and 72. We won the championship both years. And my favorite memories was working with Maurice in the motor room. Well, he got mad at us one time because we was getting ready to go to Daytona, and we was all working, a lot, and we all went to Greensboro to eat pizza, and we stayed, and we come back, and he didn't like that very much. He got on to us pretty much, so we didn't do that anymore.
Mike Dozier. Worked here from 1988, 89, and 90.
Stacy Sauls, now Matlock, but I worked here from 2000 to 2003 as the communications coordinator. And probably one of my favorite funny stories would be I had accidentally killed the boss's goldfish, Bill Scott, and Kyle was nice enough to call me and tell me he was from like a fishing magazine or something and wanted to know all about my fishing extravaganza because, he's so nice.
I think I come to work here in 97. All right, we'll roll. I'm Dale Andrews. I came to work here, I think, in 97. Worked here about 7 years. Can't give you any stories because the ones that I know, I can't tell. But I love the Pettys, and I'm one of the few that's ridden all the years of the Kyle Petty charity ride.
Les Bars, and I'm Richie's brother. Worked here during the Superbird years, starting in 70, 71, and 72. And we won, while I was here, those 3 years, we won 50 races. We got stopped for speeding in El Paso, Texas on the way back from California with both trucks. And I think we were 15 or 20 miles an hour over the speed limit. And they took us right down on the border of Mexico. You could have just about could have peed in the Rio Grande, and threatened to put us in jail and impound the trucks if we didn't pay our fine. They used to give us a little per diem money to pay for stuff extra while we were gone on the road, and we used that.
My name is Glenn Feisty. I work for Petty Enterprises in 2001. My most favorable or memorable moment was break time with Richard Petty and Keith Allman out behind the back door. I worked in the engine shop. And on Monday mornings, I would always have to rebuild 4 or 5 carburetors, and Richard Petty would come and check me out. But it was an honor to work here at Petty Enterprises. Not many people get to grow up and work with the heroes of their youth. And I've watched Richard Petty win races when I was a very, very small boy in the 60s, and I never knew that I would get to work here. It's an honor and a privilege.
My name is Daniel Holliday. I worked here starting in 1966, 14 and a half years. One of my favorite moments was the vinyl top, which was a uh-oh when it was put on the car. It was to hide a bunch of stuff. That was one of my favorite moments.
I'm Richard Petty. I worked here forever. My favorite memory is winning all the races that we had over here.
Darrell Morris from 2000 to 2008. The first time I met the king, I was working on a car, and he come over my shoulder and goes, "Hey, buddy," that's what he done, and "What are you doing?" You know, I told him I was making a clean. He said, "Let me show you how to do that." I went, "Oh, okay." I didn't know what to say. But that was a fond memory when I first come here to work. The way you file it, you just don't want how you do it. You just don't want it to catch and grab and make a noise. He said, "You just want to make a smooth little deal and everything." I said, "Okay." So that was one of the lessons he gave me when I first come to work here, and I always remember that.
Greg Stedman, started here in 1994, and one of the best memories I had here was winning with John Andretti in Martinsville. Nothing in particular about that race. It was just one of those days where we just ran along and just did the right things, and I think that's the one we won with just 100 laps or 200 laps or something on left side tires. So just one of those days we just ground it out and raced hard all day.
Chris Hussey, worked here on and off for approximately 9 or 10 years now. Probably my most fond memories of Petty Enterprises, Petty's Garage is tonight, our fellowship dinner that we have every year in December, and getting to see all the old employees and old friends that I made here.
Roger Blackwell, and I cleaned the windshield once Dale Emmett formed the normal pit crew, and he had me cleaning the windshield on the pit stops, and that was 80s and 90s when I was doing that. I didn't work at the shop, just worked race day weekend for them.
Roger Wasson. I worked here from 69 to 72. I worked in the engine room with Maurice Petty. I assembled engines with them and went on the road with them and tuned them while they were on the road, and it was the most enjoyable part of my life. Chief, on Christmas Eve of 69, went to his house for the first time, and Trish had just got through making all kinds of Christmas divinity, fudge, and everything, and she found out I had never, ever had white lightning. He got me drunk, and we ate half of her Christmas candy, and she was mad. Thank you. Never forget it.
My name's Randy White. I worked here from 2000 to 2006. Done the rear suspension and brakes. And favorite memory is just working with Adam.
Travis Owens. Worked here from 96 to 2008. I've done a little bit of everything between them 12 years here. Favorite memory? Probably winning a Craftsman Truck race at Nashville in 96 with Jimmy Henson.
My name's David Gambrell. I worked here from August of 2000 until December of 2008. I worked in the gear and the transmission shop, and probably my best memory of being here was every day. I love the people that I work with. I've never been treated so good in my life.
Fred Lankford Jr. came to work here in May of 91. Jacked the car in 93. Indy was the last race I did that. Built the engines. Me and Nick Ramey built Richard's last race motor for Atlanta together. Left in 95, came back in 96, and worked until 01 when I got fired right after the Charlotte race. So went out on my own and came back in 18 for Petty's Garage running the engine shop there. So still got an association with this place after 30 some years. Yeah, I didn't say that part the second time. You know, they won twice, I won once.
Joe Milliken, Randleman, North Carolina. The Pettys let me start coming around, hanging around in 1965. I worked full time for them from 66. I worked full time. Well, I worked part time when I was in high school, but I went to work full time for them in 1970 through 76, and then I left in 1976 and tried to race on my own for a while. They're all good. We've had a great time, a great bunch of people. Even though I left Petty Enterprises, they let me keep coming back and being around, and I used to come and visit all the guys. All the boys knowed me and knowed me of my racing, and so it's always been fun to come around and be part of the Petty organization.
Okay, so I'm Cammie Lee, and I worked here in 07. I worked for a year and a half. I moved with the company to Morrisville, and I do have a fun story. Miss Linda walked in at Halloween, and I was dressed up as Kyle, and I won the Halloween contest that year. She actually thought I was him. So,
do you know Rick Houston? You do? He's famous. He's my date. My name's Tony Liberati. I started here probably, I think it was like 86. I was weekend help. I was still in the Marine Corps. And I was helping on the weekends thanks to Billy Wilburn and Dale Inman. I was actually Dale Inman's roommate on the road when I'd come, which was interesting to say the least. I can't really tell one story because I work with Richie Barts, and when I work with Richie Barts, every day is a story. So just a good place to work, and I'm glad I got that history that I actually worked at Petty Enterprises.
Richie Barts, serial number RA16683-615, rifle number 1180-43-9, sir. I came to work for the Petty's beginning in 1970, and I worked here for 38 years. Never had a bad day here. Never. Okay, so Kyle came to us out of school, and we were doing the kit cars, me and Steve Mill. Some people refer to Steve Mill as Little Hitler. Every time you turn around, Kyle was gone. He's supposed to be making A-frames. So we got a 340 cylinder head and welded a chain to it, and made a deal out of like an ankle bracelet out of a piece of exhaust pipe, put it around his ankle. And you could tell when he wasn't there, you could see the drag marks going towards the office. And he was on the phone. And that's a true story. If you don't believe me, ask him.
Hey, I'm Alan Stiers. Worked here from 2010 to 2023. One of the good stories is probably when Dale Inman come up to me at Phoenix about 15 years ago and just told me that I was going to be catching tires, and I wasn't even going over the wall. So that was a good story, because when Inman tells you to do something, you just do it.
Hey, my name is Rebecca Petty Moffett, and I'm the youngest daughter of Richard Petty. And my fondest memory of growing up in the Petty family was getting to travel all over the country with my family. We spent many hours in the car playing games and talking and just spending quality time together.
Hey, David Smith Tilley, 2000 to 2002. I was a marketing intern, turned parts guy, turned tire carrier, and for Buckshot Jones, the 44 Georgia Pacific car. Fond memories was when Kyle turned 40 and Martha Jane hopped out of the cake to surprise him in the setup room.
Hey, I'm Martha Jane Bunkemeyer, and I have worked at Petty Enterprises for different times for several years. I came here in 1969 when Miss Petty asked me to come and do the bookkeeping. I quit only part-time after 1970. Then I came back full-time in 1986 and worked until 2004. Oh, my fondest memory. There are so many, but they were a wonderful family to work for. But one of the things I enjoyed one time when Richard took all the employees at that time over to the Charlotte Motor Speedway and let them go through the driving school and drive a race car. I got to drive a race car, and I went 159 miles an hour. If I'd have had another 10 laps, I'm sure I'd have gone 160, and they had to put a pillar behind me and a piece of board under the gas pedal so I could reach the gas pedal. So that was something I had never done in my life. They were a wonderful family to work for.
Hello, I'm Stick Brady. I worked here in the 90s to 2000s, probably with Dale Inman, and I can't really talk about it.
Hey, I'm Donna Cox. I started in 1996. I was in the travel department, and my favorite memory was when my boss told me to make a copy of a fake parking ticket, and we got caught by NASCAR.
Hi, I'm Fran Victorino. I was the travel coordinator. I started in 2000, was here till 2008. One of my favorite memories, I guess, is I was about 5 a.m. one Sunday morning, and the race day crew called me just to wake me up and tell me good morning because they had to be up that early.
Kevin Segafus. I worked here from 2000 till 2003. I worked in the parts department and also on the pit crew for the 43 and the 44 cars. Favorite memory is probably being at the first year we were at Texas, and I was driving behind Richard, and the cop tried to tell us that we couldn't go down there, and Richard said get out of the way, and he just proceeded to move the cones so we could get to the airport quicker.
Okay, my name is Mike. Started in 2004
And my favorite memory of working at Petty's was we were out testing caraway. I'd never met Linda Petty, but Richard and Linda, they show up to the racetrack to see how the testing's going. And she rolls her window down, she calls me over, and she's like, could you grab me a pack of nabs? Well, I'm a Yankee, I'm from up north, and I had absolutely no idea what a pack of nabs was. So when I had to go back to the hauler and ask the guys what nabs were, they grab a basket and they just start filling it up with everything. There was wrenches in there was drinks in there were some snacks, and I finally just broke down almost in tears. I said, guys, help me out. This is Linda. I'm trying to figure out what a pack of nabs is. And finally somebody came to my rescue and said, it's little crackers, and I had no idea what it was. But that type of family relationship, working with these guys, it was just so much fun. So,
my name is Cecil Stevens. I worked here from 92 to 2001. Started out in the engine room grinding blocks and wound up doing valve train and cylinder pressure R&D, let's call it. Favorite memory was two. Winning at Phoenix was a really big deal, and working with Maurice Petty was a really, really big deal. Really cool chief story is Kyle wanted us to get involved with measuring cylinder pressure. So 3 of us get in an 18-passenger airplane and go to MTS in Ann Arbor, Michigan. The good professor, to make a long and very good story shorter, the good professor is explaining the finer points of cylinder pressure measurement. The chief holds up his hand and says, I'm just a poor country boy, but that's wrong. Professor said, if you would just come up here, Mr. Petty, and correct the error of my ways. Mr. Petty went up there and explained it from beginning to end with absolute correctness. I have a picture of it. The equations are on the board. The chief is holding the stick, explaining it, and when he was done, the professor, whose name is unimportant and I've forgotten, of course, said, you're absolutely correct. I just loved it.
John Hayworth, let's see, I came to work here in the end of 1992, worked here till the end of 1998, then back again in 2000 up until 2009. So through those years I was a tire changer on the 43 car, did brakes and suspension, worked in the shop, just overall mechanicking and well-being. Yep, great time, good memories. Oh golly, there was way too many. Probably my best memories is riding in the van to the racetrack with all the guys, telling stories, listening to Dale tell stories about things, flying home on the airplane with the king, things like that. We're always the best.
Kyle Petty. I never worked here. I just hung out here, really. I never really worked here. I don't know, man. I got a million memories. I got memories of wrecking a bicycle over there